Rene Gimpel was certainly one of the most prominent art dealers of his time, with important galleries, particularly in London and in Paris. He dealt with many important families, Rothschilds, Wildensteins, etc. Rene Gimpel was active in the resistance in France. His family was active in the resistance. I became involved in helping the Gimpel family in recovering artworks that were seized from them by the Nazis during World War II.
Amis, entends-tu le vol noir des corbeaux sur nos plaines? Amis, entends-tu les cris sourds du pays qu'on enchaîne? Ohé, partisans, ouvriers et paysans, c'est l'alarme. Ce soir, l'ennemi connaîtra le prix du sang et des larmes. Montez de la mine, descendez des collines, camarades. Sortez de la paille, les fusils, la mitraille, les grenades. Oui, les tueurs à la balle et au couteau, tuez vite. Oui, saboteur, attention à ton fardeau, dynamite. C'est nous qui brisons les barreaux des prisons pour nos frères. La haine à nos trousses et la faim qui nous pousse la misère. Il y a des pays où les gens au creux des lits font des rêves. Ici, nous vois-tu, nous on marche, nous on tue, nous on crève. Ici, chacun sait ce qu'il veut, ce qu'il fait quand il passe. Ami, si tu tombes, un ami sort de l'ombre à ta place. Demain, du sang noir séchera au grand soleil sur les routes. Sifflez, compagnons, dans la nuit, la liberté nous écoute.
And he says that he's pinpointed a number of works of art that probably have been, not spoliated. I don't know how you say that in English. And would we like him to start looking for works of art for us? And so we are absolutely stunned because, of course, this happens when everybody is dead. So nobody can, be a witness and say what they know. My grandfather wasn't always very kind about what he would say about people.
This morning, Mrs. John D. Rockefeller showed me over her mansion. She has bought the worst kind of Gothic statues, and the La Rochefoucauld tapestries are placed in a tiny room where there's not an inch of wall space. It's horrible. She went into rhapsodies over Rockefeller Sr.'s horrible picture by Sargent. She has some remarkable black Chinese vases, as well as a vast collection of the green variety, but all in disorder, showing a wicked bad taste.
He has a real sense of humor. He's very bitchy.
It is Armistice Day, but there is no daylight for the dim-witted. Maurice de Rothschild wanted to know if Rockefeller Jr. would be prepared to buy his crockery.
But it's quite amusing. The first page is just so funny.
Since the last raid, Rude's Marseillaise has been shut away for protection in a huge box filled with sandbags. Dovecotes have been built for the horses of Marly. Carpo's The Dance will be continuing its steps within the darkness of a double wall. Alas, even the Vendôme column has a shelter built for it. What an insult to the brass of its cannons. Better to leave it exposed in its dignity and glory.
My grandfather he was not a soldier in the 1914-1918 war, and he was rather, I don't know if you can say upset, that he had not fought for his country. You can feel that he had this desire to die for his country. And so once in a while, you know, something comes up. And recently, 2 paintings have come up. One important painting, which was the Monet, which was sold in New York.
Lot 15 is by Claude Monet.
Well, yes, because my grandfather was an art dealer, and so as an art dealer, he, for one, listed everything that was in his stock. So that makes quite a complete, and he was also the son of his father, who was a dealer before him, so it was quite an important stock, that's for one. The other thing is that when you put things in storage, you list things, and you keep a copy of the list of your belongings. I just want to make the point that anti-Semitism is not just French or Polish or German or whatever. It was and still is an abominable, fact. My grandfather did not give everything up to go into the war. He was Jewish, and because of the laws of Pétain, he was forbidden to, he was no longer a French citizen. So that's how his business stopped, for one.
In Marseille, René sets up a transport firm called Azur Transport, which is a cover for early resistance activities.
And Azur Transport was a transport company. They had trucks and they were transporting, I think, coal or whatever. And of course people, and of course papers, and of course documents and so on. And then they moved to the Côte d'Azur. And I think that some of the money that he had to do this was provided by the British. And so when he was first arrested, I think it was the first time he was arrested by the French, I think, my father managed to visit him. And my father was in the resistance, and he was in the Maquis, and he had organized to have my grandfather escape. And so he managed to get into the prison and visit my grandfather to tell him that such and such a day they were going to free him, and they were going to get him to escape. And my grandfather replied, "But there are 11 of us." And my father said, "Well, I mean, we're not escaping with 11 people." And so my grandfather said, "Well, if we're not going with 11 people, then I'm not going." And we only spoke about my grandfather as a resistant who had died in a concentration camp after having done some great work for the resistance. Recovering works of art, I mean, that came quite as a surprise, because none of us had ever imagined that our grandfather had lost so much of his belongings. I was convinced that my grandfather was so brilliant that he had sent everything away to England and to the US and everywhere, and it was all hidden, and after the war it was all recovered. The difference between the art that was actually stolen by the Germans and forced sales. And forced sales means that when you were not allowed to do business, you had to live, and to live you had to sell whatever you had at any price that would be acceptable. And I will keep up looking for stolen art, not for the money, because it's not the money that's the point. The point is in the provenance of a stolen painting or a forced sale. The whole point is to falsify the provenance and to make people disappear, like the Germans did in concentration camps. They put numbers on people, and this was a way of cancelling their their right to be a human being, and in a way, modifying a provenance and removing somebody's name in the provenance of a painting is doing the same thing. It's making that person disappear. And so the reason why I'm interested in recovering paintings, I'm more interested in re-establishing my grandfather's name in the provenance of a number of paintings, if we can, to make him exist as the famous art dealer he was.